TV, and today we have the beautiful model Armani. Hi, Armani.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. A little warm. LA is finally warming up, so.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, who are you wearing?
I'm wearing Lioness. They are an Australian designer, boutique designer. Yeah, and boots are nasty gal.
Oh, well, honey,
Yeah.
you look good coming in. I'll tell you, legs
Thank
for
you.
days. So when did you begin your modeling career?
When I was 16 years old, I was walking down the hallway at high school, in high school, and a teacher I'd never met before. I don't even think I've ever seen them, and I thought I kind of knew most of the staff. I was very involved in school, so I was just walking, talking with my friends, and she was like, "You have such a beautiful smile," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." You know, I'm like a junior, senior in high school, so I'm just like, that's so weird, but thank you. I'm still really awkward. I haven't really come into like myself yet. And it ended up being a program where they were teaching etiquette and model training and things like that, and I got to go up with some of the city officials, and we did like a little, it was more so honoring them, but they presented us as like, oh, these up and coming young ladies, and
Wow.
apparently I did pretty good on the runway, because afterwards there were groups of people coming up and they were like, "You did so well, like, have you done this before?" And I was like, no. And it was like my first photo shoot and everything I did with them. And then I went to school, I graduated college, and I was more acting focused, and modeling was always something that I was like, oh, it's fun. If I get to do it, I get to do it. My first shoot with a brand was by a friend, saw it on the internet, and this was around the time of all the craze of Hamilton, and I got to be a part of this amazing shoot that was so much fun, and it kind of snowballed from there. I ended up getting a model coach, and it hasn't stopped since then, and acting and modeling have kind of been a shared world for me.
That's nice. Well, then tell me this. What's one of your most memorable shoots, and why? Because you mentioned the Hamilton craze, and I was part of that. I loved that. I saw it in New York. But what is one of your most memorable shoots, and why?
I would have to say the one that I did most recently. I've done a lot of shoots that have been absolutely amazing, some that have been published in Vogue, so definitely those are incredibly memorable. But I would say the one that I just did, because it's been during COVID, I've been producing a lot of my own content from home, which everyone has been doing, and everyone's been doing a great job with that. And this was like my first time kind of doing everything from picking hair, makeup, the looks, and kind of the energy that I wanted to do for the shoot. And it also, I got to express like a different side. I think a lot of the things that I normally do are very fresh face and smiley, so I liked that I was able to do something with a little bit more edge.
Nice. I like that. What's one of your routines before a shoot or a show that you do?
Ooh, I wake up really early. I have really bad anxiety, so I give myself time in the morning to calm down, and I have my little routine. I do my face, I'll put on a face mask or something, and I'll go make breakfast, I'll have tea, I'll check emails, double check location, things that I need to carry with me, and just kind of be calm. So by the time I'm ready to leave out of the door, I'm ready. I don't have any worries. I know I didn't forget anything. I can go and be my best self on set. And that's kind of my routine. Usually just a lot of skincare.
Skincare is important. It's very important. That's your business. And what models inspired you before you began modeling? Or now?
I mean, I would have to start with Naomi Campbell, and Tyra Banks, of course. When I was and Alec Weck. When I was younger, my grandmother kept Ebony magazine, and she was very particular about making sure that I had images in the home that reflected me. And so that I could inspire, and I had a wall covered with like all the black actresses that were working at the time in Hollywood, and then I had my model wall, which was majority Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, and Alec Weck, because I was like, these are the women that I admire. They have changed so many things in the industry that make it possible for me to work today. People that I admire today are like Ajak Dang and Ducky Thought and Leomi Anderson.
Nice, very nice. So Armani, Met Gala, who wore it best?
Oh my gosh, it's not even a hard decision. The most iconic Met Gala look to me in the past decade would definitely be Rihanna and Guo Pei. That gold ensemble was insane. When you say Met Gala, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. She looked regal, elegant, and makes it really hard to remember what anyone else is wearing. And I think that's what you want to achieve at the Met Gala, and so that was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think that was a favorite all around. Yeah, yeah, totally. So, in your spare time, what can people find you doing?
These days, I'm a little bit of a workaholic. So in my downtime, I'm still working. I'm like editing. I'm submitting myself. I'm trying to learn how to have more fun because with my health thing, so it's making me nap a little bit more. And I definitely love reading. I love writing. I paint. I write poetry and paint the most.
Oh, nice.
I'm not an artist in that sense. I'm not an artist in that sense, but it's incredibly therapeutic to me, and I love creating something from nothing, which is one of the reasons why I love modeling, because you get to be a canvas. So I like to play with my own sometimes.
That's always nice. I love the answer. So, what is one of the greatest pieces of advice that you've been given as a model?
I would definitely say one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was they don't know what they want until they see it. And that is definitely something that I would give any models advice, because I think there's a lot of pressure to kind of always be perfect. And I've been in so many situations where designers have walked me over for very obvious reasons because they didn't want me in their show for that reason, and I would go up for another designer, and if they were nearby they would see me walk, and then all of a sudden there's space in their show. So again, that saying is they don't know what they want until they see it. Nice. So just always have a positive attitude, and it's not technically personal. Sometimes it might not even be about race or body size or anything like that. Sometimes you just don't fit the vision. That doesn't mean that you're still not a great model.
Ooh,
and it doesn't mean that they won't work with you again.
I love that. I love that. Where do most designers find you?
It can be for me doing go-sees. A lot, majority of designers finding and working with me comes from my social media. Just because I'm not represented by an agency, that's usually the easiest platform for them. And they usually will have a member of their team, or they'll reach out to me directly by email. So that's been very, very helpful. Nice. I recently booked something from TikTok. I think right before, I think this was at the end of last year, which was Wasi Clothing. She booked me off of TikTok. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when it comes to go-sees, because of COVID, you found creative ways of doing things.
I've been pre-booked basically.
Nice.
They watch my footage. They get my measurements and sizes for the shows that I just did for this past season. Since everything was virtual, some of the designers I'd worked with before, so it was a lot of fun and very easy. The only sad part is that the designers aren't there, because it's really nice to have their feedback sometimes. Right. But due to COVID, we had to keep it safe.
Well, you know what? I've watched some of your shows, or some of the shows you've been in lately, and I was, oh my gosh, I saw you in Paris. I saw you with a couple of other girls, but it was you walking that runway. So tell us about some of the shows that you've been in, because all of this is virtual. All of this is online right now.
Yeah, it is.
You've done a lot of ads lately.
Yeah, I just recently did my first skincare commercial with Estala Skincare, and that was so much fun. That was honestly, it was probably the easiest shoot that I've ever done. I got to sit in a nice bubble bath with like my afro and like put on skincare products, and I was like, this is work. I love my job.
So good.
I love it.
Well, how was the Paris shoot?
In
London.
Okay, so the last time we were in Paris was right before COVID. Funny enough, when we were in Milan, they had shut Milan down like 1 hour after we made it out, so we would have been stuck. But Paris was still kind of grinding into it. They weren't quite sure if COVID was as serious as we know it is now. So we were able to do Fashion Week and get through that, and I got stuck in Paris.
You did?
Yes, because I wasn't able to get a flight back because I kind of didn't get a return flight because I knew I was going to spend a couple extra days the craziest part about Paris Fashion Week or any fashion week is I think people think we spend a lot of time having fun. It's mostly work.
It's work,
you
right.
don't get a lot of time. Anything that looks like it wasn't a part of Fashion Week was probably because we had 30 minutes or 40 minutes to like go out into the world and be like, oh, there's people that I don't work with out here. Look at that. So that's mostly kind of what happened. And then I got stuck. But I could have been stuck in worse places.
Right.
I had so much fun. I just spent those extra days going to the museum because nothing had quite shut down. And I think I was back in LA 2 weeks. And then everything was done.
Wow.
And I was like, why? I just like, it was so hard because I had just left this high of doing these shows, working with new designers. Like, oh my God, one of the designers, I think we'll backtrack to that question you asked me, would definitely be that season, Salvatore Papacina. He's an Italian couture designer. And his fitting was towards the end of, he was the last fitting that I had before shows went up. And I was the last model to be fit. And it was one of those moments where I needed to take my own advice because I was like, wait, does he not want to use me? I was so worried, but he just wanted to put me in the perfect dress.
Wow.
And the dress that he put me in, it will never leave my memory. It was so beautiful. And his entire team was so amazing. So that was definitely like leaving Paris like on this high, and then we get back to LA, and at the time I still had a support job at the time, so I was managing a beauty store, and we were only open for about 2 weeks when I got back, and then we were closed, and then I was in the house, and I think at that time everybody was kind of reluctant about COVID. We're like, okay, we can still do things, we'll just be safe. So I had a few shoots, but mostly just kind of producing and working from home, and then nothing. There was weeks of nothing, and the way my body and my mind works, I couldn't do it, but I ended up getting really ill anyway, and it wasn't from COVID, which we thought at the beginning. We were like, do you just have COVID? Because they couldn't get a test on me that would come up positive. But apparently it's just like abdomen stress issues. So, but I'm better now.
Good.
And,
well, you look good. You look amazing.
Thank you.
You look amazing. So I have another question for you. What's something amazing about you that most people don't know?
Amazing. I don't know if it's amazing, but I think surprising. I'm really introverted. I think most people look at my social media and assume that, oh my God, Armani, you're so outgoing, you're doing all these things. And I'm like, actually, when I'm at home, I'm like, I have my actual glasses on so I can see, and I'm like reading or like very to myself, and I'm very quiet. And I'm shy, and people don't know that. I'm actually really shy.
I believe it. I believe it because of the movie set. When we worked on the set, I thought, oh gosh, she's acting and she's just so quiet. You were like a little mouse.
But the second the camera turns on, I've been told I'm a completely different person. My coach, he tells me that all the time. He was like, Armani, he says, I don't know what it is. You'll be so quiet and sweet, and then as soon as the camera comes on, I'm like, I don't know who this bitch is, but she's mean. I like her. And I was like, so that's basically like what happens. But yeah, so I'd say that's the most surprising thing about me for people.
That's a good surprise.
Yeah.
That's actually a great surprise because you actually give them what they want.
Yes.
Now they know what they want because they had the chance to see it. So that's kind of like your mantra. Yeah. I like that. So I'm going to tell you that we at KA Fashion TV appreciate you coming to spend the day with us.
Thank you.
We love you for that. We're excited about your future. We're watching you constantly because we want to see what you're going to do next, especially with everything opening up. So thank you, Armani, for joining us today.